Oh, yeah!
Connecting to the internet.
No one makes a fool out of me. Get a load of this.
There's only one real Sonic.
Welcome to Plothole Busters, where we take a look at popular so-called plot holes in Sonic games and check whether they're really plot holes or just something else. We use 3 criteria. Is it technically a plot hole, that is, does it contradict something? Are there plausible explanations to be found? And when all said is done, does it even matter in the story, literally or symbolically? So let's get into it, doing a couple this week. First up, why is Sonic 06 represented in Sonic Generations? Does this contradict? It makes sense. Sonic 06 is there from a meta point of view. The game's a celebration of Sonic's history, and 06 is history. One of the most talked about parts of history, in fact. But within the logic of the plot. On first glance, no. The events of 06 were erased by Sonic and Elise tinkering with time. So it never happened. So, explanations? Well, first, everyone who knows time travel movies know that you can create alternative timelines. We don't know how the time meter works, but since it's about time travel, it's technically possible the time meter took the stage from a timeline that never happened. After all, tinkering with timelines was the entire point with Eggman. We never see any of the Sonics make a comment on the level, so we don't know if modern Sonic recognizes the level, or perhaps just assumes it's an event that will happen later in his life. So Sonic's experience is not a contradiction either. Another possibility by the Sonic 06 level is that even though the events of 06 never happened, it's possible an event like this happened instead. After all, the city where Crisis Core took place still exists. That wasn't erased. And the Sonic universe doesn't have a shortage of city leveling monsters. So maybe one way or another, this city was going to get destroyed by a disaster anyway. Effect on the story? Not really. Nobody ever says anything about or interacts with this stage. As I said before, the writer's intention is just to throw random bits of Sonic history in one blender with little to no thought. So whatever. Not really a plot hole. Busted. A second plot hole. In Sonic Generations, Eggman was stuck in limbo at the end, yet the next game he's out without any explanation. So, does this contradict information? Well, first of all, do we know for sure that Lost World took place after Generations? Maybe it's told out of chronological order. We don't know. Or do we? Well, Lost World took at least place after Colors, because Sonic's using an insult he only learned in the other game, and Generations picks up right where Colors ended with Eggman in space. So unless Eggman had the Time Eater hanging around during the events of Lost World, which seems very unlikely, otherwise he would have reversed the conch incident, this takes place after Generations. So yes, it's a contradiction. Are there possible explanations? Well, Generations never explained anything about Limbo, so there's practically no information to work with. Eggman himself seems to have some hope of escaping at first, looking for doors, and then talking about changing his life, which has no point if he can't actually go back to his life to change it. Well, first question is, why did Eggman get stuck in there anyway? Everyone else was sucked back to the original time, well except Silver and Classic Sonic, and Blazer if her story would have made any sense. I don't understand the rules in where everyone is sent after the Time Eater got destroyed. If it's destroyed, it might just be knocked out. Maybe the Time Eater also got sent back where it came from, which is outer space in regular time. Shouldn't Eggman be floating in space with him then? Anyway, as we explored in the last episode, Eggman at least used to have backup plans, and noticed that he didn't bring Orbot or Cubot along, so at least Eggman still has allies in the real world who can try to figure something out. Perhaps that's why they're on Hex in the next game. Hex is supposed to be a mystical place of specialness, yet Lost World never explains why. So perhaps Hex has some sort of time travel thing that could have saved Eggman that we're never told. Though that's assuming Orbot and Cubot want to put effort in saving Eggman, even though every time we see them they're either lazy or ignoring Eggman's commands outright and stating they want to betray him and join Sonic. So it's highly doubtful they'd bother saving Eggman. With Classic Sonic, a time portal immediately appeared after he said goodbye to modern Sonic. Did Time Eater send that time portal? Did Super Sonic kicking Time Eater's ass made him become pals and politely allowed everyone to say goodbye and then send him with a taxi home? And then I guess he's angry at Eggman for some reason and decided to punish him? That's the most plausible explanation, although I'm not sure why the Time Eater would suddenly become pals with Sonic and enemies with Eggman. It's kinda weird. And then worst of all in this scenario is what Eggman himself said. Time does not exist in Limbo. In other words, it's impossible for Eggman to wait for rescue or rescue to show up later. Limbo doesn't have time. It's a state of being. Either you're being rescued or not. If the Time Eater or Orbot and Cubot would stage rescue, it should happen immediately. It can't happen after a waiting period because, again,
There is no time here!
So there are possible explanations, I suppose, but they're all messy and vague. So, does this affect the story? Well, the Pontac graph stories aren't really stories. They're more like collections of events happening with little to no flow or connection between them. And this is just a prime example of that. The point is that Eggman is punished and stuck in a comical situation. The end. Next scene he's out again because a new scene needs him to have a different purpose. It's almost no plot hole in the Colors era games, because that's just a general style in how the entire Pontac graph stories are written. Oh no, Sonic, Gekkar's kidnapped and endangered, I'm really worried. Okay, end scene. Well done, you guys. You gave the illusion there's an actual story going on. Alright, next scene. Oh look, there's Jekker. I guess he's somehow rescued off screen again. Whatever. This is the symbolic nature of the Pontac graph stories. Every scene has a purpose, and then for the next scene everything is reset and reshuffled, so the next scene can have a new purpose. There's no real flow to it. So yeah, Eggman being stuck in limbo and suddenly escaping is a plot hole, but a stylistically designed plot hole. Everything is meant to be meaningless and have no consequences or weight to it. Cutscene gives you emotion, then magically goes to a different cutscene with a different emotion. Don't think, don't grow, don't learn, just have shallow surface level emotions. So this plot hole is not busted nor confirmed. I dub this Pontac. Well, that's enough for this week. Let us know in the comments what you want to hear about next time. Bye bye.